All right, welcome back to another Active Mobility Day. My name's Shane Lakins. Today, it's all about mobility, but it's going to be in the lower body, and it's got to do with rotation. So we'll get right to it. We're going to be doing 3 exercises, 4 rounds of each. Sometimes there's a left and a right. Sometimes you do bilaterally at the same time. So the first exercise is what's referred to as a reverse clamshell. Now, if they're doing a reverse clamshell, there's got to be another clamshell. So the regular clamshell is this, okay, where you're just opening and closing. The knees are at 90 degrees. And the reverse is you're just going the opposite direction. So the leg can come off of the other leg a little bit. If that's a little bit more comfortable for you, that's fine. But you're not trying to straighten out your leg. You're not doing anything. It's keeping that knee 90 degrees, and you're just internally rotating at the hip joint. Okay, so that femur where it attaches into your hip, it's a ball and socket, so it rotates in there. That's a great exercise to work on internal rotation of the hip. The other way that we're going to do this is also working hip mobility internally. It's just lying down. The knees can be just a little slightly apart, or they can be together, whatever is more comfortable. And you're just going to let the feet fall out to the side. Okay, we're not trying to lift. We're not trying to do anything other than just kind of turn them like the hand of a clock either direction and just opening up as far as you go. Now this way we have gravity helping a little bit. Okay, so it makes it a little bit easier for some people to get a little bit more internal rotation of the hip this way. But either way, we'll show you both directions with it, or both ways to do it. And I think you'll find one maybe a little bit more comfortable than the other, but that's fine. So the second exercise is tibial rotation. So the tibia, there's 2 bones here in your lower leg, the tibia, which is your shin bone, and the fibula, which is just off to the side of that. You know, obviously come together through kind of with the kneecap to form the knee joint along with the femur. Now it's essentially a hinge, okay? But there is rotation of the tibia. Okay, so it's important to have that range of motion in order to be able to move and cut and turn and twist. But excessive internal rotation or external rotation of that obviously is called a knee injury. So we want to avoid that, but we also want to make sure that we do have it, because if we don't have it, then we're going to have to ask the ankle and the hip to do that mobility, which is going to cause all sorts of other problems. So just recognize that what we're going to do is the first one is going to be in a seated position. So I brought my chair over here. You actually can't do this on a ball because the ball is going to slide in on you. So you'll need to have a chair. So you're at the front of the chair. I like to have about 2 fists in between the knees like this. And the knees are 90 degrees. You're going to come up onto your toes, and you're going to internally rotate the fibula, or the tibia rather, okay, into that position. And you're going to pull back at the same time. So my heels, I'm trying to pull back towards my chair, okay? And then we're going to go the opposite direction. So the heels are pointing towards, and then I'm going to do that actively pulling again. Okay, so that's internal and external. So we're not doing this with our knees. They stay right where they are. Okay, it's just the heels go out, the heels go in, but we're pulling in at the same time at all points. Okay, so the other way that you're going to be able to do that is when you're going to be lying on your butt. Okay? Okay, so you can do it either sitting, and all you're going to do is just internally and externally rotate into this position. Okay? Or you can lie down, and you're going to have your heels to your bum. I'm going to externally rotate one, and then I'm going to straighten it out and try and straighten my knee. Now, it's important to kind of have the hips not be involved in this. This has got nothing to do with the tibia. Okay, so you have to do it in 90 degrees first, or heel towards the bum as much as you can, and then straighten it out. Okay, and then you do the opposite also. So you're straightening it out at the same time. So that's one way also to do it, kind of from a lying position. We're going to go through a couple different ways. The last one is called a bootstrap exercise. Okay, and this one, what we're going to do is we're going to be working on the posterior chain, but also ankle and knee and hip mobility. Okay, so we're going to go down into a position where you're into a full squat. Now, this may not be possible for everybody. That's okay. I'll show you a different way. So head up, chest up, knees and eyes up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to straighten up. Okay, so you're going to keep that chest up nice and high as we come up. Going to go up as high as you can. You're going to keep your fingers underneath your toes. You're not going to lift up out of there. Okay, and then you're going to come back down again, get into that same position. Now you'll notice that I'm up an inch or two on the edge of my foam pad here. That gives me a bit of a mechanical advantage to be able to do that. If I'm on the floor, my ankle mobility right now isn't quite good enough to be able to do that in a very good position. So I give myself a little advantage to be able to do that. The way, if you're struggling with that and you can't even do it with the heels raised, is you can do it from a lying position where you can use a band or a towel, and you're just going to go through that same range of motion. Okay, now you can do both. I prefer, when I do it in this position, to actually use one leg and really focus on straightening that out. Okay, so you can see this is obviously a much easier way to be able to do it, to really focus on the extension part of it. So without further ado, we will get started. I'm going to get you to get into your reverse clamshell position. So lying on your left side. Okay, and here we go. So lying on the left side, bringing that foot around and just rotating through the femur, and you should feel that. If you want, put your hand on your hip and you're going to feel that bone moving right at your hip joint. Good. And again, you're not trying to do a million reps. You're just trying to go through a good range of motion, trying to get up as high as you can. Beautiful. Okay. So now we're going to do tibial rotations. We're going to do it seated on the chair. Feet are together, up on the toes. Heels are out. Going to pull that in as hard as you can. Good. And then you're going to go the opposite direction. Heels are together. Pull back. You're just, the only thing in contact with the ground is your toes. Okay. Externally rotate or internally rotate. Heels are out. Good. And then internally rotate or externally rotate. When you're talking hips and knees and stuff, it's they're a little bit opposite of what you kind of think sometimes. So I still get confused after 35 years of teaching this. All right, the last one is the bootstrap one. Okay, so when you're going to go down, head up, chest up, nice and tall, or you're lying down on the ground. Good. And again, just go through a full range of motion. You should feel the hamstrings, even the glutes a little bit, and the calf potentially getting a good stretch. But certainly the hamstrings are going to go through a really, really good lengthening as we do this. Good. Beautiful. All right. Tibial rotation. Or sorry, reverse clamshell on the right, on the right side this time. Boy, I'm having troubles with rights and left today. 90 degrees in the knees. Okay, and again, I went through a fairly extensive description this time just because I wanted you to understand there's a couple subtle things with internal and external rotation with ankles, knees, and hips. Okay, so here we go. Reverse clamshell again. Now again, you can start off with the legs together and then just if you want, just raise it up a little bit. Now, you may be at home kind of going, ooh, this one's not going as far, or this one's going further than the other one. Again, that's a good indication that there is a deficit from one to the other. You want to look in a mirror or ask somebody that's working out with you, hey, take a look at this. Does this look less than the other side? And if it is, then that may be something you want to work on a little bit more. All right, so tibial rotation again. I'm going to do the same thing. Seated in the chair. Fists between the knees, heels are out. That is internal tibial rotation, pulling those toes towards you. They're not going anywhere, but they're just making the tension. You're feeling those hamstrings activate. Heels together, toes stay in the same place. Pull, pull, pull. Good. Toes or heels going out again. Good. And then heels together. Beautiful. All right. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a double version, lying on my back, doing the bootstrap. Here we go. Band is in your arch of your foot or just towards your ball of the foot. Now, it's important that, if you're using a band, make sure it's not going to slip off your foot. Okay? Last thing you want to be doing is wearing this band. So just pull with the tension that you feel comfortable with, but you want to feel like you can get a full range of motion. So straighten those legs right out and pause. Give yourself a moment there. Again, make sure you're breathing. Beautiful. All right. Now we're going back to reverse clamshells. This time I'm going to do it on my stomach. Okay, so again, the way that one works, just lying down, I'll lie kind of directly at the camera. Now, I think you're probably, if you're watching at home, you're probably going to notice a deficit from one side to the other with mine. Now, I am a goalie in hockey. That probably is explaining some things now for you. And, you know, this movement pattern is really important. So there you go. So your legs are going out to the side as far as you can go, and then bring them back, touch the feet together, and then go out. Let them go out as far as you can. So the more range of motion you have like this as a goalie, it definitely helps in sliding across the net with your pads parallel or perpendicular to where the puck is coming in. So very advantageous. Just getting started this year on my games, so it's something to work on for sure. Just back and forth. Good. And again, you can do that single-sided if you wanted to, or alternate with it. All right, tibial rotation. This time I'm going to do it seated, and I'm just going to hold my knee in this position. I'm just going to internally and externally rotate my ankle, but at the same time, I'm trying to really do it with the lower leg. Okay, so it's not just the ankle moving. That kind of goes along with this exercise, and you're just windshield wipering it back and forth. Okay. Now, if you want to put the heel on the ground, that's fine too, but you got to stabilize above the knee. That can't move anywhere. 90 degrees, away you go. All right, so I did the one side without. Make sure you do the other side the next time. Bootstrapping, I'm going to do single-sided this time. And the other leg can just be slightly bent, or it can be flat out. Doesn't really matter. It may feel a little bit more comfortable with it slightly bent, so you keep your back a little bit more flat into the mat. Otherwise, you're certainly welcome to bring it out. And you're going to bring that in as far as you can, and then straighten out as far as you can. And you're going to be keeping it up, not letting it go down here. So pulling it up. Good. All right, back to our reverse clam again. Again, there's ways to do this that are even different than the two that I've shown you, but we'll keep it a little bit simple here on this side. So again, internal rotation, just letting those legs drop to the side. And you may find that your toes kind of come up, which is referred to as dorsiflexion. Plantar flexion is when you point your toes. Dorsiflexion is when you pull them towards your shins. You may find you do that automatically. Okay, here we go. Good. Now, I don't want you to lift your hips up. Okay, so there's a tendency sometimes as you go further and further to try and want to lift your hips when you're in this position. Okay, you are going to stabilize through there, but don't lift. Just keep them flat, keep your hips pushed into the mat, and really feel like you're trying to get good internal rotation. I feel like I'm getting more than the first time I did it this way. I find this a little bit more effective than the clamshell, the reverse clam, I should say, to get at this position. You can even add a little bit of extra resistance potentially going with you. Tibial rotation again, same thing. I'm gonna do the other leg. Okay. I didn't cue you on which one I did, so I'll just let you figure out which one you did first. Okay, and again, stabilizing through here, just rotating, going around. Good. Really important movement that is quite neglected a lot of times. So good to kind of try something that's a little bit different. You probably haven't done this before. Okay, now we're going back to the bootstrap one. This is the last one. All right. Again, whether you're using a band or a towel, or you're doing it the way where you're standing up and just doing kind of that squat position, either of those are good. Okay? If you're doing the towel because it doesn't stretch, you may have to bring your arms up a little bit to get to the position where you want it to be. The band just adds a little bit more tension to it. It's a little easier to work through the range of motion. So we've had a lot of different ways to work the ankle, the knee, and the hip today. And I hope there was a couple new exercises or new movement patterns that you had a chance to work on today, and that you discovered something new about yourself, whether it was, oh, I didn't know I could, internally, externally rotate. My knee feels a little bit better. My hip feels a little bit better. My ankle has a little bit more mobility now. So all of those things are designed to help you, function better in just your daily activities. So with that, we'll see you next time on one of our active mobility days. Take care.